Hi guys, it's Grizzly Granny here, and today I have a special guest. That's my husband, Grandpa Grizzly. And what we're going to talk about is something that is happening to more and more people. It is a total earthquake in someone's life when this happens. It's hard when you're young, but it's especially hard when you are, I'm going to say 60 or above, and trying to get another position at that age is quite a bit harder than it is when you are, in your 30s and 40s, for example. So we thought this would be a timely and important conversation to have today. And hopefully either you'll relate to this or it will give you a better understanding of what someone you know is going through. But it does need to be talked about, and I think it needs to be stopped. I think laws need to be put in place to prevent this from happening. And we're talking about wrongful termination, termination or a firing of someone for no apparent reason. They've been with the company for years. They have an excellent education. Their performance reviews have been beyond excellent. And so without getting into this too much more, we'll let Gary go into a lot of those things. So good afternoon, Gary, and thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here. Boy, and, I feel like I'm right at home.
That's because he is right at home. So anyway, let's go ahead and just have Gary start talking about this, and we'll just go from there and see how the conversation develops. And please, 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 as usual, put comments down below. I always hate it when they say, it's in the description down below. It's in the comments down below. I think by now we all know where the description is and where the comments are. So I'm going to officially retract that statement and say, please leave a comment. You know where to do that. We want comments to be kind and respectful. As we've talked before, no trolls, no bullying. We've all had enough of that in our lives. No politics either. So let's go ahead and get started.
Well, thanks, Grizz. I appreciate the opportunity to share this story because I think this is probably more and more common than we realize, especially as it relates to older folks in their career. And just want to tell everybody, and I'm sure that anybody who's experienced this situation has been completely blindsided, dumbfounded, and taken aback. And
those words can't even begin to describe it.
And this is a situation that's never happened to me before. I mean, I've had a number of situations throughout my career where I've been riffed, reduction in force, or laid off, or outsourced, or things like that. And that's because I spent most of my career in the technology field or in healthcare field where mergers happen, things change, organizations change.
Usually medical health care.
Yeah.
And for some reason, well, I guess medical and healthcare, I didn't need to say both those words, but information systems in healthcare, where you would expect there might be a little more heart and a little more compassion. But as we're all finding out, and as you know, I'm an RN, compassion and respect and kindness and kind of the old, Florence Nightingale model of medicine, kind of that caring, compassionate model that was there from days of old, seems to be dwindling away very fast.
Oh, and I think that's a really good point. I think used to be company loyalty was a thing, but that door used to swing both ways. The company was loyal to you, and as you were loyal to the company. Right now, I think that loyalty door only swings one way. The company expects you to be loyal to them, but they can choose to terminate you whenever they want, regardless of whatever reason or purpose.
And to be clear, Gary has not had a lot of removal from his positions He worked his way up from biomed after the Navy, and he was a submariner on a boomer, by the way.
That's another. We should save that for another story.
We'll be talking about that.
I'd love to share my old war. Yeah, we would love to share old war stories. Oh my gosh.
There will be those of you out there who can relate to that. So after that, you were in biomed, and Gary continued his education and worked his way up to management, and then directorships of information systems for large hospital chains, master's degree educated, and then this last position where you were the chief.
I was the director of operations, so basically the second in command behind the CEO.
Yeah. So I'll let you pick it up from there. I just wanted everybody to know that you didn't have this happen often in your life.
No, but periodically the information systems pendulum swings. From they want to bring everything and do it themselves, perform these functions in-house. Then they outsource them. As they outsource functions, everybody that was doing them no longer is employed. But the technology field's always been very resilient. I've always been able to find other positions. And this last employer that I was with, I was really glad to get employed because I had been unemployed for 4 or 5 years.
You had been laid off.
I've been outsourced. They brought in another company, outsourced my position, and it was right when the housing crash happened. The economy was in the tanks, and that hit us really hard. We had to sell our home, move into a rental, and do some things. And Jeannie picked up all the slack for our primary income at that time. And that's another story we'll have to share, how she, with her nursing career and nursing background, started her own business. But we should save that for that's a dedicated story in and of itself.
Well, in our latter years, I had been able to go part-time because we still had children at home, children in high school years, early college. We had a granddaughter with us on and off. So I was, taking some time to take care of family responsibilities, plus working part-time every week before this all happened. And then we lost our home. And one of the things with that outsourcing was that we had to take a big chunk of our retirement and sell our house just to have enough money to bridge the gap until Gary could find something else.
Which took a number of years. In the meantime, I was working, supporting Jeannie. I was kind of her sidekick. And again, we'll tell you that story another time. But when I was able to actually land this job with my last employer, I was so thankful. The wages were great. It was a small organization. Really enjoyed working there. I was brought a lot of expertise to the table, and I was recognized for that. And I was promoted a couple of times over the course of a couple of years, and had a great working relationship. As a matter of fact, I think I got this job when I was probably 56, 57 years old, and I was thinking, gosh, this would be a great job to go into retirement with.
Right.
Little did I know that it would happen this way. So at any rate, I was hired on as kind of an information systems manager, and over the course of time, I was promoted to the director of operations. So I had responsibilities for IT, customer service, finance.
Pretty much everything.
I didn't have marketing. I don't have a marketing mindset in that perspective.
But you hired someone to do that.
It was
who had expertise.
It was also a medical firm, so I didn't have anything to do with the clinical side of things. But I had everything to do, all the responsibilities related to the operation of the organization. And as things change in organizations, the CEO who hired me decided that she wanted to move on to somewhere else. And so there was an opening for the CEO's position, which I was a candidate for, along with another one of the directors in the organization, rather than bringing somebody from outside.
Well, let me interject.
Sure.
As good wives do. This person worked very closely with Gary and came to him and asked him if he would be willing to consider taking her position as CEO. Now, in the meantime, there had been another position open up, and Gary had been, and I don't know if we want to say that on YouTube or not, but Gary was responsible for doing the search and the hiring for this position. So Gary looked and brought this individual in who had some healthcare expertise, not tightly related to what his new position would be, but maybe he worked on the back end of that. So what this position would require was his expertise, and then he would be trained along the way in the other side of what his position was. So Gary worked closely with him to bring, with his onboarding, his training process, to get him comfortable in his new position. So Gary had a lot of time and energy invested in this individual.
So so he rose to a director level as well, and so both him and I were candidates for the CEO replacement. I opted to not pursue that opportunity. I was about 62 at the time. I enjoyed the work that I was doing. I didn't have the clinical background necessarily required to do what I would think the position should have as a CEO.
However, the CEO didn't.
Yeah, he was.
No, the CEO that was outgoing.
No, she was.
She didn't have.
She didn't either.
A medical background, and she did just fine.
Right.
So I know
That's true.
I know you're being complimentary, but that certainly wasn't required.
True.
And Gary had worked in, healthcare info systems his entire career. I
could have done the job, but I decided it was not the right thing for me at this time.
We talked about it, and we wanted to be able to, start prepping to have a little more freedom in our life.
There's
have
a lot of travel
little more
involved,
free time. Yeah, there would have been a lot of travel. So we thought, a CEO position, at this time of our life, we'd like to have less responsibilities rather than increase responsibilities. And although he had a lot of responsibilities in that current position, we decided that it probably wouldn't be good for our retirement plan, moving forward.
Yeah. So long story longer. The other director got the CEO position, which was fine. We were good friends. We worked well together.
This is the one Gary had hired and trained, mind you.
So at any rate, one day he called me into the office, and he had with him the financial consultant that did our taxes, helped us prepare budgets and all of this stuff, and which I thought was unusual because he really wasn't part of the organization. Come to find out, he had actually thrown his hat into the ring as a CEO for the CEO's position as well. I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyway, called me in the office. It was a Friday morning.
Can we just put a little bookmark there?
Sure.
Gary, I don't know if you were going to go into this. Had you had any difficulties? What about your reviews with this company? What about all of your performance reviews and
sure.
all of that type of thing leading up to this point?
No. So again, it's a small organization. It's easy for bad things to stick out like a sore thumb. When I think we had maybe just over a dozen employees or so, maybe 15 or so. But no, I always got stellar performance reviews. I've never been written
Ever
up
in his life.
put in a performance improvement plan or anything like that. Like I said, I've been promoted a number of times up to the director of operations position. Things were going on. As a matter of fact, we were in the midst of a huge project rollout and launching new products and services and things like that.
Which Gary, he's not going to say, but he handled most of that rollout and things that really gave this company a leg up. Gary's really good at innovation, and he did a lot of innovation with educational materials and things like that. Because even though this is a small company, they have a lot of power and clout as far as the healthcare in general.
Field, yes,
and I can't give out too much more information because it will define who this company is, because they're how many of them are there? Just one?
Yeah.
That does. There is only one company that does what this company does. So I can't throw out too many identifiers.
Right, and again, that's not the important thing. The important thing is that this happens to good people.
Yeah.
For no reason. So
good and valuable employees.
Yes.
Who, didn't have sick days, didn't take a lot of time off, was there and working hard and making positive improvements that really increased the overall, what do you call it? I'm not a business person. Assets and things.
Help out the bottom line.
Helped out the bottom line for this company. So he was worth it not only as an employee, but he was worth it as a financial asset.
And,
so
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm sure that a lot of people who are listening to this, people of a certain age, understand what it means to be a good employee. Show up on time.
Right.
Yeah. Be reliable, be loyal, contribute, do your best, give the company what they're paying you for, and that's our mindset, and that's the way I approached all my positions throughout my career.
In the baby boomer generation, we were raised with a really solid, excellent work ethic from the time we were kids, whether that be schoolwork, part-time jobs as you're earning your way to go to college, and beyond. So we have that, and I know a good percentage of our watching audience does too. So Gary had done all that. Now were these two guys, was this the guy that he was friends with?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that. I won't call it the word that it is, but when you bring in a friend, pretty much from the outside in, start working with this individual, and then this happens.
Well, and so at any rate, I was sat down and I was told that they were going to terminate my employment. I mean, just that simple. And it was like I'd been hit by a bus.
Truck.
Yes. It's like,
no, bus, that's bigger.
What? And I mean, I had no clue. I completely blindsided, and it's like, really? You're kidding me? I mean, I was literally left speechless, and I had not been written up. I had a bad performance review, as we said, and what's the problem?
And Gary had hired and trained this individual. This individual brings this buddy of his in, and it seemed to me, as Gary's wife looking on, I perceived also at some level a deep betrayal.
Yes.
When this happened. I don't know if you would say that word, but
no,
I would definitely
that's
say
that's what I felt. Again, I was friends with the other director.
You brought him on.
Yeah,
you gave him the job.
We had grown this organization we had probably doubled the amount of revenue over the course of the 5-6 years that I'd been working there, and we worked closely together. We had a great relationship, and I felt
You thought
just like hit upside the head that this guy that I'd worked with
that you hired
for so long had just
and
fired
held his
me.
hand,
And,
held his hand through so many situations to get him trained and up and running when you didn't have to do that.
Well, again, you do what's best for the job, what's best for the company.
Well, plus you're a good guy.
Yeah.
You're a nice guy.
So, at any rate, what I do wrong is simply put. They said we've lost confidence in you. Over what? They could not cite a single thing.
Couldn't give him one reason.
And there was nothing written. And they said, Colorado is a free will state, which means that an employer can terminate you at any time for any reason, without cause, and simply that's it.
Gary talked to an attorney because we thought, well, certainly we have grounds. There's a paper trail of all of Gary's performance reviews and all of that.
Right.
Solid paper trail. But we found out, no, nothing you can do.
Well, and that's the thing, is you talk to an attorney. So I contacted, we weren't big enough organization to have our own HR department. We had outsourced HR. I contacted the HR department. I contacted the Colorado State Department of Human Resources regarding employment practices. I contacted an attorney's office. And while you say there's a documentation trail of good performance and good reviews and things like that, there was not a paper trail of any discriminatory things. For example, my age. Oh, Gary's getting older.
They didn't document that he was starting to get gray in his beard. That was quite a smart move on their part. And obviously I'm just an old white guy, so there was no racial bias or any other bias that could come up as some type of a legal battle. So there was not an attorney that could take my case. I did file a complaint with the Colorado Department of Human Resources, and they opened a case. And when I was actually at the meeting being terminated, were you just going to let me go? Is there at least any severance? And certainly somebody who's operating at an executive level in any organization, usually there is some type. They hadn't even considered offering me a severance package. It's like, well, I guess we could give you 2 weeks or something like that. That goes to show you that this person who became the CEO had no clue about running a company. And he demonstrated it over and over and over again. Didn't even have a severance package in mind when he and his buddy let Gary go that morning.
So when I contacted the HR department and others, I also sent off a letter to the board of directors of the organization, thanking them for allowing me to serve at the organization, and that they would consider a severance package that was reasonable. And when I spoke with the HR director, I needed to sign some paperwork. It wasn't an NDA, I'm trying to recall what it was, but it was basically that I agreed that I wouldn't I agreed that I would not bring a lawsuit against the company. Well, I said, I'm not going to sign this here today at this meeting. I said, I need to talk to some people and I need to mull this over. And so when I talked to the HR people, I told them, I'm not going to sign this until you at least make this right. And making it right, obviously, was not going to get my employment back. Making it right was getting at least a minimal,
reasonable
severance package, because not only were they cutting me off from my salary, which was a decent salary, but health care at age 62, and I had experienced some recent health problems and things like that. Now I was going to be responsible for all of those types of things, and the likelihood of now finding employment at 62 plus with a position that compensated me as well as this one did was not a pretty prospect.
Just to add also here, because I worked part-time in nursing, I did not get any health care provided or any health insurance or anything like that. So Gary was the sole provider for all of those benefits for our family.
So at any rate,
so what happened with the signature?
We did come to terms on a severance agreement.
But it still was minimal.
It was.
But at that time, we needed some money. Yeah. At that time, hey, we're out of groceries. We're out of gas, and while Gary is reaching out to everybody he can think of to see what recourse he has, our bank account is just, almost empty. So it was almost like extortion in a way.
You have to back up against the wall.
Because it's like, well, you sign this or we're not even going to give you this little pittance in this. Here's a little leather pouch of severance pay, hope it lasts you more than 10 minutes.
Right. So we had to make some pretty dramatic life decisions.
No frustrations here on my part for my very peaceful, quiet, kind husband. Sorry, I had to throw out a little sarcasm in there from time to time. That's just my way.
But so it was pretty traumatic, but it was a blessing at the same time. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We had a little bit of severance now that was going to last us for a couple of months, which gave me an opportunity to look for work, which I found out is not an easy prospect.
He's doing that, probably, that was his new job. He was doing that all day long, almost every day.
So most companies that want to hire somebody, they want to know that you're going to have a senior executive that's going to be around for a while, not somebody that, could be retiring in 3 years from now or 4 years from now or whatever. Because again, I was already, well into my 62, I think 62 and a half or so.
Well, and the other issue is Gary was, quote unquote, overqualified, which I think is the most ridiculous term ever. If I was an employer, yes, I would love to have somebody that had the education and experience and work ethic that Gary did and other people in this position. And you're out there, you're educated, you have a strong performance, a strong work ethic, a wealth of wisdom and experience. And those are the people, those are the people, they're out there all over the place.
They are. That's so true.
They're the people that should be hired.
So I totally get that an organization may not want to hire a senior executive at a decent salary that's only going to be around for another maybe 5-6 years or so,
or 10.
So I was looking at positions that were more even mid-level, entry-level type positions that would complement my skill set. I had a master's degree in management. I could manage small companies, or I could certainly do things. I had technical skills as well. And so I was either qualified but not hireable because of what I perceived as my age, or I was hireable but not hired because I was overqualified for a position, and I suspect they think, oh, you're not going to be satisfied here long, you're going to want to get promoted and move up in a company. Or so at any rate, I fought long and hard for to get a position. I looked at consulting gigs and things like that as well, and it was just not happening. At that time, we were actively involved with our church, I was functioning in a role as an assistant pastor.
Well, we had been in ministry
for a long time, yeah.
Gosh, what, 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
So he had those skills and education as well.
So I spoke with the senior pastor, and he made an opening as an associate's pastor in a part-time level, which provided, again, a small
grocery money,
a small compensation that also helped as well. So during this time, my son operates his own real estate company, Mile High Property Brothers. By the way, if any of you are looking
shameless plug
to move to the Denver area or live in the Denver area, check out the Mile High Property Brothers, or his YouTube channel is Living in Denver, the Mile High Property Brothers.
And he's Eli.
He was doing a great business. He said, "Dad, you should get your real estate license, and you can come and work for me." And I thought, well, this is
with you.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a great opportunity to have another income stream, but also to help my son be successful. And so I did that. I was able to pass my real estate exam on the first try. So I'm a licensed realtor. And so I was able to help him put together systems and procedures and processes kind of in the back end of things. So I never really did any active selling, buying, but more my skill sets on the back end of things for client management, client transactions, and that kind of stuff. And I still do that with him today. So at any rate, there were, that's why I say, what seemed horrible at the time sort of turned out to be a blessing, because I was able to do these other things. But one of the things that we haven't talked about is we really needed some guaranteed income. And you had already, I know you can't tell, it's impossible to tell, but Jeannie's just a couple of years older than me. So she had already filed for Social Security. And so she was receiving Social Security at the time. So at 62 and a half, I decided that I would officially start taking Social Security, and then I could do some, things that really felt good to me in terms of being more involved in the ministry, and also working with my son to help his business grow and develop.
And while he had control in keeping his income to a level that will work well with our Social Security.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting old, we have some issues. So it is nice to have some options.
Right.
We're definitely pretty much month to month like the rest of you guys are. And my precious father, while all this is going on, we had got my dad, talked him into coming up here from California, and he had just built this house and not been in it very long. He wasn't even done like improving the property and things because we're rural. And then my dad had to go into hospice, so we're trying to keep it together and take care of my papa in the home in hospice. So just a lot going on, and I won't even go there because a lot of you have been there, and I don't want to start crying. So all these things were going on, and when my dad went home to be with the Lord, he left me this house. And I will tell you, if that hadn't happened,
Yeah.
I seriously don't know where we'd be right now, because we just barely make it. By the grace of the good Lord.
Yeah.
We have a roof over our head. We have a warm place to lay our head at night. And we're so, so thankful to the good Lord above, and to my papa, who left me a place to live. I know he would love to have been here more years and got to enjoy the, as the trees have grown out back from little, tiny baby trees, and the grass has grown in instead of the dirt. I know he'd love to be here, but I'm representing him now. And if it hadn't been for that provision, we'd really be in a jam.
We would really, and I know that there's a number of you that are hearing this story right now that find yourself in that jam, that find yourself, it's like, what am I going to do? And I tell you, we're not far away from that. With the way that inflation has been crazy, our health insurance costs are going up, insurance costs are going up. It doesn't keep pace with Social Security. We are literally on a fixed income. And so as prices skyrocket, our income doesn't skyrocket, and it becomes more and more difficult to find alternate sources of income and things like that.
Well, and then we really had to draw down on our retirement, our funds that we had set aside to retire on. We needed those to live on when all this happened.
To bridge the gap and get us to a place. So getting to a place where you're financially stable, where you feel that you can make ends meet, is a really slippery slope, because things go on outside of your control that raise prices. That it's like you can no longer afford to pay for your insurance, to pay for your health insurance, to cover your gas each month.
Yeah, Social Security does not go up. Does not go up in
they go up like this.
Relationship. Yeah,
costs go up,
and we're thankful for it. But doggone it, we earned our Social Security. As a nurse, you know what kinds of things that nurses have to do, and it's caused me a lot of physical problems that I now deal with. But I wouldn't have it any other way. But as we get older and we have more medical needs right now, it's just tough. We're not what's the word I'm looking for? We're not sitting here saying poor us. I think the whole point of this is how the Most High, the good Lord in heaven, has come through at every juncture.
And we've seen his hand.
We've seen
so many
his
times
hand.
in our life.
He seems to always wait till the very last second. If you are going through something, you be strong. You give praise before you even see the answer. Because if you remember in the scriptures, many times the praisers, the musicians, went ahead of the Lord, went ahead of the troops into battle. And those battles were won. They were on the front lines.
Yeah.
They were praising before the battle was even fought, trusting in the Lord that he was going to bring them through. And not to sound overly religious, I cannot deal with some of the things, and I'm not going to get into that on this channel, but just want you to know we have strong faith. We have seen our Creator, our Maker, do things that would blow you away, and especially as a nurse. And maybe sometime I'll tell you about a couple of the miracles that I saw with my own eyes.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
Because people don't always get to see a miracle with their own eyes. We read about them, we hear about them, but we have like I said, we have a place to lay our head. We have a roof over our head. And there's so many people in this world, right, Gary, now.
Oh, yeah.
They have no place to lay their head. It's wintertime. People are, dying, trying to stay warm. And many of these people, some choose that lifestyle. I have run clinics in homeless shelters, and there's a small percentage that that's what they want for some reason. They have addictions or things like that, and they don't want to, have someone train them and help and get them to some kind of job interview or get them into a home. There are a lot of people who are homeless that I personally met that through nothing they did one patient I had,
Mm-hmm.
she lived with her mom, and one night her mom just went out of her mind and wouldn't let her daughter get into the house, wouldn't let her daughter, and this daughter I'm talking about is a 50-year-old woman, a highly trained woman who had an excellent job. She went home that night, couldn't get in her house, couldn't access her medications. She had some kind of serious health problem where she had to have meds. And I think she had taken the bus to work, left her car at home. She couldn't access her vehicle, her clothes. So here she is at night with the clothes on her back, her high heels and her purse, and that's all she had. And she had to go to the police. They got her into a shelter. And then she had to go through the whole legal system to get access to the home, to get access to her meds, her clothes. So meanwhile, she's living in a homeless shelter. Now, this is nothing that she did wrong. You know, this is life circumstances happen to people. And
so many of us are just one step
away. The wildfires,
yeah.
Helene, and the damage that did in in the mountains down in the southeast, and these people not being able to even get because of red tape, they couldn't even get a shed to live in. They're in tents with their families in freezing weather. It's like, is this the United States of America? So pardon me, alarm. So we're so thankful. Yeah. We're very grateful. So please don't misunderstand. This is to be an encouragement, right, yeah. Gary?
And I tell you, we cannot overstate the role that our faith played as we go through life's challenges. And being able to share the level of faith with your spouse that you have get you through these times. I can't tell you how many times you hear stories about people who run into financial difficulties, and it destroys relationships. Arguments break out and things like you're not walking lockstep with one another. And the only reason I think that we were able to survive this, and our commitment to one another and our commitment to our faith, which binds
our family,
which binds us all together and gets us through this. So being able to rely on that and have that as a foundation, I think it's an essential part of going through life's journey and getting you through terrible times, because terrible times happen to even like good normal people. like I think we are. I
don't know about normal.
Oh yeah.
We tried it.
With a name like Grizzly Granny, we got a little edge. Normal with an edge. I'll put it that way.
That comes from lots of trials and tribulations and challenges. We learn from those, and we learn to be loving and compassionate, but don't ever turn your back on somebody. I don't care how good a friend you think they are or how good a spouse you think they are. I have faith and trust in the good Lord.
Anyway.
And that's why I'm a Grizzly Granny, which, keep in mind, that is a mama bear squared. And,
I love it. That's great.
That's why we have a lot of interest that you'll hear about over time in our life. We love music. We're musicians, our entire family. We have our faith, we have our grandkids, and I'm telling you what, have a bad day, just look in those deep, beautiful blue or brown eyes of your grandchildren.
Oh, yeah.
Or have them say how much they love you or give you a hug. And you know what? All the cares melt away, because that's what really counts.
Yep.
That's what really counts. And if we had nothing at all but had our family, it's all worthwhile. And there are many of you who don't have their family. You are either, what's the word? When you're estranged from family members for whatever reason. We have a situation like that in our family with my sister, but won't go there. But, those of you who have lost a child, I can't even go there mentally. I can't even think about that for more than 2 seconds. So I am a grizzly granny when it comes to protecting my children and my grandchildren, and watching over them, watching over their health, teaching them at very young ages how to escape the, I use the name of a certain store where it started, but I call it the name of the store, kidnapping or grab, and I've taught them from a very young age how to get out of those situations. Kids need to know these things. They don't live in a world like we lived in the, well, for me, 50s, well, your 50s too.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, 50s and 60s, when they could just go out and play and come home for a meal when your mom whistles. Not like that anymore. So I try to let them know how it used to be, and how wonderful that was. And since it's different now, how we can still live and be happy, but we have to tweak some things for our safety. So
I appreciate you giving me the time to tell my story. Hope it resonates with some of you out there.
It's a story a lot of people have, I'm sure. Almost probably some identical situations.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're survivors. We're getting on. And good Lord watches over and protects us each and every day.
We're in boot camp, you guys. I just cannot deal with it when, you get labeled. Well, you're a senior. So all of a sudden, you don't need to get the attention you used to need. You don't you don't need those treatments that, somebody younger can have that treatment, but you're not going to be here that much longer. There are things going on having to do with seniors, as well as other people groups that I just cannot deal with. And we just wanted to share our story and encourage all of you who have probably gone through this. Yep. And I appreciate Gary's being candid, because, I think guys who feel like they are the kind of the overseer of their family. If you're people of faith, they are the priest of the family. The fathers have roles to protect and educate, raise up their family and make sure that their family's doing well and raising children to be good adults, productive adults, kind and compassionate adults. So for a man to get hit, it's hard for all of us. But I know for men who are the provider, that's a hard journey to go through. It's hard for women as well. And I'm not diminishing that, but I think we handle things differently. I know I do than men do. So I appreciate you coming on and kind of bearing your soul.
Well, it's nice to get on this side of the camera. So anyway, appreciate you guys watching, and tune in for the Grizz. She's got lots of stories to tell.
I do. And you'll see Gary on our other channel, which is Trike Talkin'. You know the old Bee Gees song, Jive Talkin'? One day I was riding my recumbent trike on a little wooden bridge, and that song popped into my mind. So we have Trike Talkin' with Grizzly Granny. And Gary does so much on that channel as far as video and editing. And that's just fun because, if you're interested in cycling, that's cool. But we also have conversations along the way because we are on a recumbent. We can relax. We can, pay some attention to the scenery. And we've had some really good times. So hop over there, take a look if you get a chance, at Trike Talkin' with Grizzly Granny. And for this channel, which is brand new, guys, we need this pushed out. So we would really appreciate a thumbs up, a subscribe, and hit the bell. This will be maybe our fourth video.
Oh, share it with your friends.
Yes, and share, because we're not just sitting here jibber-jabbering about nothing. We've got some good content. Some of it's educational. conversational, life challenges, a little humor along the way.
Okay. Well, we'll see you guys. What did you want?
Well, I always have. Can you talk about something for a minute? Stretch, Gary. I'll be right back.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You can think of something.
Here I am. I have no idea what to talk about because Grizzly Granny is in front of the camera for a reason. She's the one who comes up with the stories. She's the one with the great imagination. And she's the one who loves to connect with you folks. I kind of like to stay in the background and just kind of make sure that we can get these videos produced and out to you. And hopefully you guys will enjoy these things. But I leave the content creation side up to Grizzly here.
Okay, we want to leave you with an encouraging word from Psalm 7, starting with verse 8, and I think I will end it with verse 10. So Psalm 7, 8 through 10. The Lord judges the peoples. Vindicate me, O Lord, according to my righteousness and my integrity that is in me. O let the evil of the wicked come to an end, but establish the righteous. For the righteous God tries the hearts and minds. My shield is with God, who saves the upright in heart. And with that, the Lord bless and keep you. Be safe out there. Be aware of your circumstances. Watch your back. And we'll see you next time.